You stare at your bank account on Friday morning. The direct deposit just hit. It is the number you worked for, the number you studied for, the number that was supposed to make you feel safe. $50,000 a year. Or maybe it is $70,000. Or even $100,000. It is a salary that, just a generation ago, was the golden ticket to the American dream. It meant a house with a white picket fence, 2 cars in the driveway, a family vacation every summer, and money left over for savings. But by Monday morning, the money is gone. You pay the rent. You pay the car note. You pay the student loan. You buy groceries. You fill up the gas tank. And suddenly, that middle-class salary has evaporated into thin air. You are left checking your balance in the checkout line, praying the card doesn't decline. You are earning good money, but you feel broke. You feel like you are running on a treadmill that is set just slightly faster than you can run. You ask yourself, where did it all go? Am I bad with money? Am I irresponsible? The answer is no. You are not crazy, and you are not alone. You are the victim of a systemic economic illusion designed to keep you working, spending, and dependent until the day you die. You are living in the middle-class trap. The illusion tells you that if you just work hard and get that promotion, you will finally get ahead. But the reality is that the financial system is engineered to absorb every single extra dollar you earn before you even get a chance to hold it. If you want to understand why your $50,000 salary feels like zero, why the middle class is shrinking into the working poor, and how to break free from this invisible prison, you need to listen to every word of this video. Because the system is counting on you staying asleep at the wheel. But before we dismantle the math of this lie, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We are here to expose the financial psychology that keeps you poor, and you don't want to miss what we are covering next. Let's start with the first magic trick the economy plays on you, the gross income lie. When you sign an offer letter for a job, they give you a big, shiny number. We are going to pay you $50,000. Your brain latches onto that number. You start planning your life around $50,000. You mentally spend $50,000. But you do not earn $50,000. You never see $50,000. The moment that money is generated, the silent partner steps in. The government. And they take their cut off the top. Federal income tax. State income tax. Social Security. Medicare. In some places, city tax. Before the money even touches your bank account, 20 to 25% of it is gone. That $50,000 is instantly $38,000. But it doesn't stop there. The illusion of the middle class is that taxes end with your paycheck. You take your remaining money and you go buy gas to get to work. You pay a gas tax. You go to the grocery store to feed your family. You pay sales tax. You pay your phone bill. You pay a regulatory fee and a usage tax. You pay your car registration. You pay property tax, either directly if you own, or indirectly through your rent, because your landlord passes that cost on to you. When you actually sit down and do the forensic accounting of your life, the average middle-class citizen is not paying 20% in taxes. When you combine income tax, sales tax, property tax, and hidden regulatory fees, you are effectively paying closer to 40 or 50% of your labor to the system. You are working from January to June for the government. You only start working for yourself in July. This is why you feel broke. Because you are trying to fund a 100% lifestyle on 50% of your income. But even after the tax man takes his share, you face a second, more insidious enemy, the shadow inflation that the news doesn't tell you about. You hear the government say, inflation is only 3%. But you look at your grocery bill and it's up 30%. You look at your insurance premium and it doubled. You feel gaslit. The reason is that the official inflation numbers are manipulated. They use something called substitution bias. If the price of steak goes up, they remove steak from the calculation and replace it with hamburger meat. They assume that if you can't afford steak, you will just eat burgers, so your cost of living hasn't technically gone up. But your quality of life has gone down. You are paying the same amount of money for a worse lifestyle. This is the invisible thief. You are running harder just to stand still. And then comes the trap that keeps you stuck, lifestyle creep or the hedonic treadmill. Here is the scenario. You are 22 years old. You are broke. You eat ramen noodles. You share a messy apartment with 2 roommates. You drive a beat-up Honda Civic. And you are relatively happy. You survive. Then you get the job. You get the $50,000 salary. Your brain says, I made it. I am an adult now. Adults don't have roommates. Adults don't drive cars with duct tape on the bumper. So, you move into a 1-bedroom apartment. Your rent triples. You trade in the Civic and lease a new SUV. Your car payment goes from $0 to $500. You stop eating ramen and start shopping at Whole Foods. You stop drinking cheap beer and start buying craft cocktails. You tell yourself, I deserve this. I work hard. And you do work hard. But here is the trap. Your expenses rose exactly as fast as your income. In economics, this is known as Parkinson's law. Expenses will always rise to meet income. If you earn $30,000, you spend $30,000. If you earn $50,000, you spend $50,000. If you earn $100,000, you spend $100,000. This is why you see people earning 6 figures who are living paycheck to paycheck. They aren't rich. They are just high-income poor. They have nicer stuff, better food, and a softer bed, but their financial anxiety is exactly the same as the person flipping burgers. They are still one missed paycheck away from disaster. The system is designed to encourage this. Think about it. Who tells you what a middle-class life looks like? Advertising. We are bombarded with thousands of ads every single day telling us that success looks like a specific set of products. Success is a new iPhone every September. Success is a kitchen with a quartz countertop. Success is a brand new car every 3 years. We don't buy these things because we need them. We buy them because we are social animals terrified of falling behind the herd. There is a psychological phenomenon called the Diderot Effect. It is named after the French philosopher Denis Diderot. He lived a humble life until one day, he was gifted a beautiful, expensive scarlet robe. He loved the robe. But when he put it on, he noticed that his old rug looked dirty and cheap compared to the robe. So, he bought a new, expensive rug. Then he noticed his chair looked tattered next to the new rug. So he bought a new chair. Then the paintings on the wall looked bad. Within a year, he was in debt. The one luxury item forced him to upgrade his entire life to match it. This is the modern middle-class experience. You buy the nice house. Now you need the nice furniture to fill the house. Now you need the nice landscaping to match the neighborhood. Now you need the expensive daycare because that's where the neighbors send their kids. One purchase triggers a chain reaction of spending that devours your entire raise. You are chasing a feeling of completeness that never comes because there is always a higher level to unlock. But let's talk about the biggest thief of your wealth. The one that nobody wants to talk about because it is too painful. Housing. 50 years ago, the rule of thumb was that you should spend no more than 25 or 30% of your income on housing. If you made $50,000, you should spend about $1,200 a month on rent or mortgage. Today, in almost any major city where the jobs are, finding a decent place to live for $1,200 is a fantasy. The cost of housing has exploded, while wages have crawled. In the 1970s, the median home price was about 3 times the median annual salary. Today, in many markets, it is 7, 8, or 10 times the median salary. So, instead of spending 30%, you are spending 45 or 50% of your take-home pay just to have a roof over your head. This is a mathematical catastrophe. When half your money goes to rent, you have no margin for error. You have no money to invest. You cannot build wealth because you are too busy paying off your landlord's mortgage. And this leads us to the 2-income trap. In the past, a single income could support a family. Today, most households require 2 incomes just to survive. But here is the paradox. 2 incomes do not double your disposable money. They often decrease it. Why? Because working costs money. When both parents work, you now need 2 cars. You need double the gas. You need professional wardrobes for 2 people. You eat out more because no one has time to cook. And the biggest killer of all, childcare. In many states, the cost of putting 2 children in a decent daycare is more expensive than state college tuition. It is a second mortgage. You are working 40 hours a week, stressing yourself out, just to take your paycheck and hand it directly to a daycare center so that someone else can watch your kids while you work. You are running a hamster wheel where the cost of working eats up the profit of working. And then comes the car. The automobile is the single greatest destroyer of middle-class wealth in history. We have normalized the idea that everyone has a car payment. We treat it like a utility bill, like electricity or water. You ask someone, "How much is your car?" And they don't say $30,000. They say $500 a month. This is how they get you. They manipulate the monthly number to make you sign the dotted line. But let's do the real math. If you take on a $500 car payment, plus $200 for insurance, plus $100 for gas and maintenance, you are spending $800 a month on a metal box that sits in a parking lot for 95% of the time. That is nearly $10,000 a year. Over a 40-year working career, if you invested that money instead of driving it, that is over $2 million in lost retirement wealth. You are driving your retirement fund to work every day, and it is depreciating every mile. But you feel like you have no choice. The public transit is bad. The job is far away. The status game demands a nice car. So you sign the papers and the trap tightens. Now, let's add the modern layer to this. The subscription life. We touched on this before, but it is crucial here. The middle class is being drained by thousands of tiny cuts. Streaming services, gym memberships, meal kits, cloud storage, premium apps. Each one is only $10. But when you stack 15 of them, it's a car payment. And then there is the latte factor. I know, people hate hearing about the coffee. They say, "Stop shaming me for my coffee, it's my only joy." I'm not here to shame you. I am here to validate you. You buy the $7 coffee because you are tired. You are tired because you work too hard. You work too hard because everything is expensive. It is a cycle. This is called compensatory consumption. When we feel stressed, overworked, and unfulfilled by our jobs, we use money to buy small hits of dopamine to get through the day. We buy the lunch out because we didn't have energy to pack it. We buy the new shoes because we had a bad week and want to feel something good. We book the vacation on a credit card because we feel like we need to escape. The system burns you out and then sells you the cure. You are spending money you don't have, to buy things you don't need, to impress people you don't like, to cope with a job you don't enjoy. This leads to the hidden poor tax that the middle class pays without realizing it. There is a famous theory called the Vim's boots theory. It says that a rich man can buy a pair of $50 boots that last 10 years. A poor man can only afford $10 boots, but they fall apart every 6 months. Over 10 years, the poor man spends $200 on boots and still has wet feet, while the rich man spent $50 and has dry feet. This is your life. Because you don't have cash flow, you pay late fees. You pay overdraft fees. You buy the small pack of toilet paper because you can't afford the bulk pack at Costco, so you pay more per roll. You rent because you can't afford the down payment, even though the mortgage would be cheaper. It is expensive to be broke. And this brings us to the credit card trap. When your $50,000 salary runs out on the 20th of the month, what do? You don't stop eating. You don't stop driving. You swipe the plastic. Credit cards are marketed as freedom. They are actually future labor. When you buy a dinner for $100 on a credit card at 20% interest, and you only make the minimum payment, you are not just paying $100. You are agreeing to work hours of your life in the future to pay for the memory of a meal you ate today. You are selling your future time. You are robbing your future self to pay for your current self. This is why the middle class feels so exhausted. You aren't just working for today. You are waking up every morning dragging a heavy chain of past decisions. The student loans from 10 years ago, the car from 3 years ago, the vacation from last summer. You are working to pay for the past, so you cannot build a future. So, is $50,000 actually zero? Mathematically, for many people, the answer is yes. Let's look at the discretionary income. This is the only number that matters. Gross income minus taxes minus needs, rent, food, transport, equals discretionary income. For a single person making $50,000 in a major city, monthly take-home, roughly $3,200. Rent, $1,600. Car and transport, $600. Food and utilities, $600. Student loan, $300. Total expenses, $3,100. Remaining, $100. You have $100 of life left at the end of the month. One flat tire, one medical bill, one friend's wedding, and you are in the red. That is not a life. That is survival. This is the middle-class illusion. You have the trappings of a life, the apartment, the degree, the job, but you have the financial stability of a tightrope walker in a hurricane. Why is this happening now? Why was it different for your parents? Because the cost of the big three, housing, education, and healthcare, has skyrocketed faster than inflation, while wages have stagnated. In 1980, you could pay for a year of college with a summer job. Today, you can't pay for a semester of college with a year of full-time work. In 1980, a house cost 3 times the average salary. Today it costs 10 times. The goalposts have moved, but the script we are given hasn't changed. We are still told, go to school, take on debt, get a job, buy a house, get a car, fill it with stuff. That script worked in 1970. In 2024, that script is a suicide pact for your finances. So, how do we escape? How do we make $50,000 feel like money again? It requires a radical deprogramming of your mind. You have to stop playing the game by their rules. The first step is the gap. Wealth is not measured by how much you make. It is measured by the gap between what you make and what you spend. A person making $50,000 who spends $40,000 is richer than a person making $100,000 who spends $105,000. The first person is free. The second person is a slave to their paycheck. To create this gap, you have to be willing to look poor to become rich. This is the hardest part. It means driving the 10-year-old car when your friends are driving new Teslas. It means living in the smaller apartment. It means cooking at home when everyone else is at brunch. It feels like a sacrifice, but you have to reframe it. You aren't sacrificing fun. You are buying your freedom. Every dollar you do not spend on keeping up appearances is a soldier you recruit for your army of freedom. The second step is audit your life. You need to track every single penny for 30 days. You will be shocked. You will see the leakage. The subscriptions, the fees, the convenience spending. You have to stop the bleeding. You cannot fill a bucket that has a hole in the bottom. The third step is attack the big three. You can cut all the lattes you want, but if your rent is 50% of your income, you will never win. You have to make the hard choices. Can you move to a cheaper city? Can you get a roommate? Can you sell the car and use public transit or drive a beater? These are uncomfortable questions. But comfort is the enemy of wealth. The fourth step is reject the debt culture. Stop viewing credit as an extension of your income. If you can't pay cash for it, you can't afford it. Period. The moment you stop paying interest to banks, you stop swimming upstream. The middle class label is a sedative. It is designed to make you feel comfortable enough to keep working, but not secure enough to stop. It keeps you on the edge, hungry for the next paycheck, terrified of losing your spot. They want you to feel like $50,000 is a lot of money, so you will take the job. Then they want you to spend it all, so you have to keep the job. Do not fall for it. Real wealth isn't the leather seats in your car. It isn't the brand on your purse. It isn't the address on your mail. Real wealth is the ability to wake up in the morning and say, I own my time. Your salary is not your worth. Your spending is not your status. You have to break the illusion. You have to realize that the game is rigged, and the only way to win is to stop playing by their rules. Don't let lifestyle creep steal your life. Don't let taxes and inflation erode your hard work without a fight. Take control of the math. Widen the gap. Build the life you actually want, not the one the commercials tell you to buy. If this video validated what you have been feeling, if it made you realize you aren't crazy for feeling broke, then hit that subscribe button. We are building a community of people who are waking up from the financial matrix, and we want you with us. And I want to know in the comments, what is the biggest middle-class trap expense in your life? Is it the rent? The car? The student loans? Let's talk about it. Thanks for watching, and start building your gap today.